Hi everybody. I'm going to do a couple of short videos for different sections in Chapter 2 about leadership, so it'll help you hopefully along with the information posted in the chapter. The first section talks about leadership and management and managers. Guys, there's a difference between both. Sometimes we assume that some people have both of them, but a lot of people don't, and it's not the same person. Healthcare, it's really important to recognize the need for both. Healthcare is a unique business. It's a service industry. It depends on a large number of highly trained personnel, which are doctors, nurses, and trade workers, which would be the maintenance, the housekeeping, etc. This is no matter what kind of healthcare setting it is, whether it be a hospital, ECU physicians, even a smaller practice. Management leadership, this is done by leaders and managing its people and assuming good business practices to make sure the business is running like it should be. If you turn over your book on page 28, there's a great table, 2.1, about leadership and management, what the differences are between the two. A leader focuses more externally. They spend time communicating and aligning themselves with outside groups, such as the community leaders. There could be like the Pitt County Council on health care, that type of stuff. They want to make sure the things that they're doing benefits their organization. They like to do partnerships. Like with Wilson Memorial Hospital, Lenore Memorial Hospital. They like to work within the community, like the public schools or public health department, and even vendors, construction companies, those types of things. One of the biggest jobs also for a leader is they like to make sure they influence when policies are made for like government, public agencies, and the media. And Biden is a large entity here in Greenville. The goal for the leader and the managers is to make sure the facility is working properly and correctly. Managers are different because they focus more internally. They're looking at networking leaders, connecting people across disciplines like doctors working with nurses or doctors working with physical therapy, doctors working with radiology. They want to make sure everybody can do cross-communication and then making sure the organizational departments work together, whether, again, being a large facility like a hospital or a smaller practice. They get into talking about the organizational chart like I showed you in Chapter 1. Upper management is more of the strategic leader. They're like board of directors or board of trustees. They're CEOs. They're looking at the mission of their healthcare setting and the vision. Where do they want to be at? Why are they? What's the reason for the business? And usually they do 5-year, 10-year planning. They're financially responsible for knowing, what they need to have the facility to keep running. On the bottom of page 29, they get into leadership versus management competencies. Some of these things we went over in Chapter 1 when we went to the ONET and saw all the tasks and information you need as a manager. On page 30, it gets into leadership, the different styles. You guys are going to have to notice because I have an assignment posted. But here's a little history. In the 60s, guys, it started in the 20s and the 30s. You had the great man theory, where this leadership was based on, it was inherited traits, like in the 20s, to be a leader. If you look at Ford Industries and some of the different industries prior to that time period, that they were white, older males. And it wasn't a leadership wasn't taught, it's just inherited, it's within you, you either have it or you don't. And in the 40s and 50s, you had more of a style approach, task completion, developing relationships. In the 60s, it was situational approaches. What's the need of subordinates? Example would be they developed Medicare and Medicaid during that time period. Early 70s, it was contingency and path growth goals. This is more both style and situations. The 70s was leader-member exchange, interaction between leaders and their employees. In the 80s, it was transformational approaches. During this time period, we needed strong leadership. There was more raising consciousness and empowering others. In the 1990s, we had team leadership, team performance, team working groups. 2000, adaptive leadership, building capacity to thrive in a new reality. In 2010, global leaders, because in the United States, we're doing more overseas than we are here in our own country. So that's just to get you started on the leadership versus management, the different styles, and some of the leadership approaches. Please make sure you review this, and if you have any questions, contact me. Thank you.